Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks very much for joining us tonight. And we have Julie Jones, who's the founder and CEO of BioValeo, and it's a bespoke biotech contract research organisation, or known in the industry as a CRO. And they're dedicated to providing tailored solutions to clients by utilising the latest technologies and knowledge to ensure the safety and efficacy of new treatments for patients. BioValeo's mission is to advance personalised medicine through expertly designed and executed clinical trials. And Julie, thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
So you're the CEO and founder of BioValeo. And can you start off with some background on yourself and experience working within the clinical research sector?
Yeah, sure. So I've actually been doing this for 20 years now, over 20 years, so a while. I started out doing the sciences at university. I did biochemistry and genetics, and then I did a master's in molecular parasitology, actually in veterinary studies, so it was a vaccine development project. After that, I worked at the Mulligan Institute, and I ran some B-cell malignancy clinical trials and worked on glioma and melanoma. And the melanoma study was actually our big one. We had a dendritic cell clinical trial running at the time, and we actually won a couple of awards for that as well. I set up a GMP facility, which is a pharmaceutical grade manufacturing facility for making those products. So they were actually a personalised medicine product made for melanoma patients. And after that, I moved to the UK for a number of years, and I worked for some of the big pharma companies running clinical trials there, so project management, portfolio management across UK and Europe, and then back to the UK again. We came back to New Zealand in 2014, and I got very involved with the New Zealand Association of Clinical Research, which was, great New Zealand organisation. And I also set up a quality management system for MRINs. I've been on the ethics committee. So I've done a lot of different things in our industry, which has really helped.
Well, that's great. And so what drove you to the inception of BioValeo?
I think with me, these things is about timing, isn't it? It was the right time, both within the sense of this is what the industry was needing. Cell and gene therapy is a new area. Even though we were running these studies 20 years ago, now with the development of CRISPR, there's been a lot of development and it's really shot forward. There are about 400 companies running CAR T-cell studies at the moment, over 1,000 cell and gene therapy studies running internationally. So it's a growing space internationally, and there's a lack of knowledge within this area as well. So, I got to the point where I was feeling comfortable with my 20 years experience. And I thought, we can do this. And just a number of different things all lined up for me at the same time. And it just seemed like the right thing. And it had really come full circle for me. So I think it's the right thing to do at the time.
So Julie, this is for those who are not involved in the science sector. This is all about cancer treatments, isn't it? Using genes and technology. I mean, this is extraordinary work. And so really you're a 20-year overnight success, really, aren't you? And to bring this to fruition. You're specialising in CAR T-cell therapy, precision medicines, and immunology-based treatments. Can you just explain briefly each of these treatments and how they're used to actually treat patients to cure them or to lessen what they're going through?
Yeah, I might explain it in a bit more detail even. So precision medicines are also known as personalised medicines, and that's basically tailoring the treatment program for a patient rather than just having an off-the-shelf product. So a CAR T-cell therapy is a chimeric antigen receptor T-cell. So where we're at the moment is it's mostly autologous, which means you're taking blood from the patients, taking out their white blood cells, and then manipulating them in the laboratory using sort of a lentiviral vector, adding in a specific construct, which then means that those T cells are expressing something that means the immune system recognizes the cancer or whatever it is you're targeting. So it's not just cancers, but cancers are our main thing at the moment. And those cells are then given back to the patient. and they stimulate the immune system. So that's one type of precision or personalized medicine, as a CAR T cell. And they're also called advanced therapeutic medicinal products, or ATMP. So that includes gene, cell, and tissue therapies. So it's a much wider field than just that. And then also there is within this space the regenerative medicines, and that is trying to encourage the body to regenerate or restore function. So that also includes changes. There's a lot of work at the moment in eyes and skin and things like that. So the whole space, there's a lot of activity in this sort of biological space, and just about all of these use the immune system, and that's why we also specialize in the immune-based therapies.
This is such fascinating work that you're involved with. So you've got adaptable solutions tailored to the needs of each study and sponsor for clinical trials. Just how important is that, and how is this achieved?
Oh, well, we believe that, especially in our specific space of personalized medicines really require personalized service. Every product that's made at the moment, for the CAR T cells, is made from that patient's treatment, for their own cells. We usually only get one shot at this. It's logistically really complex. You need to adapt your study and your design and the way in which you're managing the study to the manufacturing, to the hospital capabilities, to that patient. So there's a lot you've got to really work with the manufacturer and the sponsor and the hospital. And we offer a service that's, we can manage all of those different things for the personalized medicine space, but we also work a lot with smaller biotechs that don't necessarily have very deep pockets. So we're trying to support them to get their products, not just in the cell and gene therapy space, but other products as well. So we really want to support the New Zealand biotech industry. So we, will tailor services to meet their needs and meet their budgets, and really try and help them get their products to the market. So I guess for us, we're not a cookie cutter, one size fits all type of organization. We want to adapt to the needs of our clients, and we feel that's really important in this environment.
So is there a specific or are there specific criteria required by researchers that need to be met before you proceed with offering consultation services to those who need those?
Well, we actually encourage people to engage as early as possible. You don't want to get all the way down the line and then find that actually you don't have the budget, you don't understand the timelines, and you've missed a whole lot of preclinical work, or you haven't designed out your clinical program properly. So the earlier you can talk to the different parties and work out what it is that you need to be doing in the future, and really plan your clinical development program from the very beginning, the better. So we do try and work with small biotechs early on. It could be years before they actually get their product to a clinical trial, and that's a good thing for them, and for us maybe as well. And just try and help them see what they need to plan out and the steps they need to take to be able to get that product into a trial, and then hopefully into market eventually as well. So we always say, the earlier the better, and then make sure you've got the right preclinical data to then support going into a clinical trial. So you need to be able to provide evidence to show that your product has been assessed and is as potentially safe as it can be to go into human trials, and also that the starting materials and the manufacturing is also appropriate for human use.
And so do you offer on-site assistance or facilities for trials to be conducted?
We don't, but we do work with some excellent New Zealand facilities that do. So there are some very good phase 1, 2, 3 units. There's some private sites in New Zealand, and they're also the public health system who runs studies in New Zealand. And they're very high quality, actually. They do an excellent job, and they're getting a lot of international recognition as well as running high quality studies. They recruit well, and we enjoy working with these people. We've known them for a long time as well, so that helps. It's a very direct line of communication. So New Zealand does have a lot of resources available for the clinical trial sites. When you're running a clinical trial, you need to have a medical expert that's in charge of the patient's medical decisions, particularly in that specific area. Therefore, we would go to sites and work with doctors that are trained within that area that we're running the trial in. So We're the middle group between what we call the sponsor, which would be the pharma or biotech organization who owns the product, and the site who's going to conduct the study with the patients. And we put in all the paperwork, all the regulations, we make sure everything runs smoothly. So we essentially run the trial on behalf of the sponsor.
So why are clinical trials important in New Zealand in the advancement of the health sector? Obviously, why is it particularly important in New Zealand?
There's a lot of evidence to show that clinical research provides benefits on a number of different levels. A lot of published papers in this space. So patients at research active hospitals have more confidence in the staff, and research active hospitals have a reduction in mortality and an increase in cancer survival rates. So, I mean, that in itself is excellent. Research improves clinical practices, it reduces the cost of healthcare, it drives policy changes, and healthcare professionals are more engaged in improving healthcare performance as well. So patients that are enrolled in clinical research, they have basically improved outcome from patients who are receiving, even if they're in a placebo, they have an improved outcome. So I mean, essentially, we can't really improve healthcare practices and treatments without clinical research. So it's
And I
critical.
think one of the things that you've mentioned is on the personalised healthcare, and we've had a question through that just came in through before whether or not this would lead to more health inequities. I think it probably means that we end up with more health working better for everybody, wouldn't it?
Well, that would certainly be the aim.
Well, everyone's individual, aren't we? We don't all have the same cancers or the same places or the same genetic makeup. It's
No. So essentially, yeah, personalized medicine is trying to really tailor it. It's not just genetics, it's also lifestyle, environmental factors that are looked at. So which treatments are going to work best for that particular patient? And that's what we're trying to really work towards. So it's not just the actual treatment. There could be other programs and things involved with, the delivery of personalized medicines.
yes. Well, I guess that's why we generally still work with GPs rather than Dr. Google. We're really serious. And so what do you think, why do you think organisations should look at New Zealand and say, we should be possibly running some trials here? What is it that makes New Zealand special?
Well, I mean, I've always thought New Zealand is special, but
in this area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a great advocate for the New Zealand clinical research sector. I think we're very under-recognised internationally, actually, and we call it the best kept secret down here. We've got really highly trained, skilled and qualified investigators and staff in New Zealand. And historically, we've recruited very well to our trials, and we retain patients very well onto studies. We produce very high quality data. We've got very high protocol compliance. You have a direct line of communication with your doctors, which is actually, it sounds sort of silly, but in some countries it's very difficult to communicate with your investigators and your doctors. We have a very fast, simple, streamlined regulatory approval framework. And we have very high ethical standards and IP protection laws. We have a very engaged patient population, actually, when you get them onto a study, and they've had fewer lines of treatment in New Zealand as well, which actually isn't so great for the patients all the time. But giving them a trial, it gives them an opportunity to participate and have a new line of treatment usually. But it also can be a benefit for the sponsor because they are more likely to see a difference in their product if they've had fewer lines of treatment, because the patients have not had as many different treatments that could have interfered with how the product is working.
I have to say it is a little bit sad that we don't have the treatments that some other countries do. Therefore, we become more likely to undertake trials. That is a bit sad though, isn't it? And I guess really people would be very interested to see the opportunity for us to take these successful trials and to have them commercialized in some way so that they can be available, the lessons from them and the treatments available in our public and private health systems. I guess that's really the ultimate goal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're really aiming to get more treatments available for the patients in New Zealand. And, and actually we also feel it's important for our investigators and our doctors to have the opportunity to engage with this cutting edge technology. We're a long way away from the rest of the world, but that doesn't mean that we have to be isolated. So, yeah. So I think, yeah.
So do you think New Zealand is currently harnessing the full potential of biotechnology and health research? When you think about the opportunities, the benefits that they can bring to this country, I mean, as you say, we have plenty of opportunities. We just need to maybe harness it.
I'm going to say no, which is a little controversial in some ways, but like I said, I think we're under.
Say what you think, because you are an expert.
Yeah, I think that we could definitely do more studies here. It's that slight problem where New Zealand's dropped off the map sometimes, where the rest of the world doesn't always realise that we do clinical research here. So we could certainly promote ourselves a lot more internationally and bring more trials down here. We also need to embed research more effectively into the public health system. Every patient in the hospital should be asked if they want to participate in a trial, and the doctors should have more opportunities to offer these trials to patients. So I think, it'd be good to have more studies available here for our patients. Over the COVID years, the health system struggled a lot. It's been challenging for them. And then on top of that, we had the restructure. So it has been difficult for the health system. But with the reform and the single health sort of system, we are hoping that will help alleviate some of the inequities. We won't have the DHB borders that we used to have. Therefore, when you recruit to a trial, you don't have the issues of having patients coming from a different border and the limitations. So going forward, hopefully patients will have more ability to join different types of trials in different locations. And we also hope that, the reform will help to bring research to the forefront to make it, really accessible to both the investigators and the patients, and just embed it a lot more into that system as well. And hopefully provide more opportunities to the biotech sector as well to actually engage with the health systems, because we have a lot of little, biotech groups in New Zealand that would love to do research, but they just don't know how to engage with the health sector, or who to talk to, or how to actually start that process off. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more structure and guidance around that for them as well.
And I'm sure that the harnessing biotech policies that we have coming through are going to be helpful in that too. And because I really do want to see New Zealanders have better health care and options available, and not having to go overseas to do things that they should be able to do here. But some of this, this work that you're doing and the researchers, this is all part of that program, really, isn't it? It's about improving health in New Zealand and elsewhere around the world. So is there anything that we could be doing better as a country within the space to support these clinical trials and our researchers, other than, say, making it very clear in the public and private health systems that there are opportunities to offer patients an opportunity to go on a trial that might well make the enormous difference to their lives?
Yes, I think that we could do a lot more in supporting clinical researchers, so doctors, and even in the private sector, those biotechs, to actually get into research, and setting aside some time so that they're actually able to do it as part of their job rather than on top of their job. Some of them are, they're spending long hours trying to offer trials to their patients, because it's sometimes not as well embedded as it potentially could be. So I think there's opportunity there to really support them. And, there's a lot of recreating the wheel going on at times. So, more knowledge sharing, more resource sharing, and helping those who don't always have that knowledge into the sector would be really good. I'd love to see clinical trials as common as standard of care. You can have standard care, or you can have a clinical trial. That would be my ideal world, because it would help, I think, everybody. So, and another thing that we've been finding is that the early biotechs need a lot of help and guidance, and it wasn't something we were expecting to engage with as much as we have, but we've been offering a lot of guidance to those startups to help them enter the clinical trial space or to plan for future clinical trials. And that's another space that there could be support for those groups. I think really we just need to foster our industry, and we also need to stay really competitive, because it's not just New Zealand. We're an international player. So we need to make sure that international products and sponsors want to send their trials here, because that gives our patients more opportunities. And then for our New Zealand-born things, we could potentially provide more manufacturing facilities so they can actually get their product into a trial. Because a lot of them are doing stuff in the lab, but going from a little lab-based, bench-based product to a human use product is quite a jump. And if they change their product too much from during the trial process, they have to then start again. So if their product changes too much, their clinical trial is no longer really, or the data can't really be used. So making sure that the manufacturing processes for some of our homegrown products are in place from the beginning would be helpful too.
Well, that's a very good point. And I think that's one that others will be looking at as well. It's a very important area. And look, Julie, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Well, I just think New Zealand's a great place to do clinical trials, and I hope more people come here, and we have some amazing doctors and lots of wonderful patients. And I love what I do, and most people in my industry do, and we all do it for the right reasons, and we want to make a difference, and hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, well, I think that you're absolutely right. And when I consider all the people, including yourself, that I meet in the biotech space and science and also, the innovation and tech areas, it's always about solutions, looking for solutions. And that's why it's so exciting that solution not found today may be found tomorrow. So thanks very much for joining us tonight, Julie. I mean, it's been fascinating, and just it's wonderful to know that there is this work going on and that we have potential with a few changes to help that grow and to become something of a biotech hub.
Yep.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much.